Time to get your fix. Come on down, get your horrible gaming review. 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 Ow.
Hello, my name is Zachariah, and welcome to another horrible game review. Before we get into it, as usual, the disclaimers. Number one, the horrible in the title of this video does not necessarily refer to the game itself, but in fact, this video. Basically, I do snap judgment reviews. I get about 5 to 10 hours with the games I review, and I'm trying to tell you whether you would enjoy it right off the rip or not. Number two, I don't give scored reviews to video games. I don't believe in it. I think it's one of the most subjective forms of art. So what you'll get from me is an overview of the game. I will then give you the pros and the cons of the game in my point of view, as all reviews are. And then I will tell you whether or not I'm going to stick with this game outside the purposes of this review. And finally, my child is in the room. You might hear her. I apologize. Hashtag dad life, I guess. So, with all that down, the game I am reviewing today, thanks to a free-to-play weekend from Thursday, I think the 17th? No. Yeah, 17th. Till Sunday the 19th. They allowed you to play Ghost Recon Breakpoint for free. And this also included the Resistance update, the event update, I guess, as well as the AI Teammates update. So I figured, why not play it? Why not do a review for you guys out there? The free-to-play weekend is well over by this point, but nonetheless, maybe you want to pick up the game or you've been thinking about it, so here it is. What is this game? Right off the bat, this game is a strategic shooter, third person, and it is a games of service. You're going to notice the Ubisoft sauce on this one. The minute you start playing, it is, if you've played Division, then you're going to definitely feel a lot of similarity between this one and Division. However, this one actually excels in some places where the Division fails. We'll get into that. But you're on a helicopter headed to an island because one of a U.S. ship went down mysteriously. People think the island has something to do with it. The island is some sort of weird, free-thinking, like, utopian place for, like, scientists. Your helicopter gets taken down. Nearly all your people get killed. And you realize that, the island has been taken over by mercenaries who are using the science to build a nasty little army. You play this character named Nomad, who I feel is a returning character, even though you can completely change his or her gender or appearance, which was nice. I enjoyed the character creation on this. I'm going to say that right now. I really liked making an older, scarred, gray-haired badass with a mutton stash, because that made me very happy. Also, he has just kind of like I played, obviously, the male gender. I don't know what the female sounds like, but he has a very gravelly action star voice, which kind of lended itself to something kind of cool about that. So in any case, what is this game? It's like any other games of service like this. It's a perpetual map. Stuff pops up that you can do. You can go in any direction, find different quests, find different missions, do those quests and missions. Really, the difference between this and the Division lies in how you play it. This is much more stealth-based. Division is very clearly like a go to the place, shoot all the bad guys sort of thing. Whereas this has a lot of variation on how you can tackle situations. You can tackle them from afar with, long-range shots. You can stealth kill people. It has a stealth takedown, like close combat melee takedown too, so you can do it that way. Or you can go in hot and build your character out that way. It has a pretty diverse loadout, a skill loadout for this kind of game, and Division doesn't have any, which is something I feel the Division is lacking. It only has a gear score thing. This game actually also has two ways to play, immersive and Immersive and original. Original being the normal gear score, find stuff, get better gear to fight bigger things sort of situation. Whereas immersive, um, there is no gear score. You pick up the weapons that the weapons damage. They don't have different levels, and you're just trying to take out certain bad guys are just really tough for you to take out. I did not care for the immersive way. I am all about the games of service gear score stuff. I love games like that, so that's what I decided to stick to. So if you're looking for an immersive review, you're not going to find it here. Um, so where does this game excel? This game truly excels in that stealth play, that stealth area, especially when you have the AI teammates, which are completely customizable. I found it incredibly enjoyable to take all three of them and completely mess with their appearance. I made just like three badass chicks that just follow me around. I gave them the same shirts. It was a lot of fun to play with those things. And apparently you can get weapons and unlock weapons that they can have. I don't have any of the weapons that they can have. That changed the way they play, which is nice. Right off the bat, you usually have a mid-range fighter, a close-range fighter, and a long-range fighter. And the AI is not bad in them, honestly. I didn't have a problem with them. You can also do the sync shots, which can mark enemies, and then your AI people will get into position, and when you take a shot, they'll take a shot at their marked enemy. They are very useful in battle. They do pick you up. I had to get picked up many times because of the crazy way I play. And there is a skill tree to this, which you're not going to find in Division, which is nice. I just want to point that out one more time. So, in any case, that's basically the game. You take missions, you do stuff. There's some sort of backstory between you and the main bad guy, who I could care less about, who's played by John Barenthal. I didn't see much of John Barenthal because I just did random stuff, because that's how I like to play games like this. So let's go to pros and cons. Just a heads up, a lot of my pros and cons are going to be in comparison to the Division 2. And before we get into them, if there's any mistake in this game and the Division 2, it's that both of these games came out at the same time, and they really occupy the same space. They're very much the same type of game. There's just a little bit of difference in the way you play, but the game itself is basically just the Division 2 in a different location with a different backstory. So that, in my opinion, is a little bit of a mistake on their point. All right, so first pro, the storyline and the writing. Look, I don't know about John Barenthal. I could care less about it. But sorry, guys, that's my kid. But the fact that your character has a voice, and it is a badass voice, and he always sounds cool, is nice. It is a welcome change when he's having conversations with people, to the Division 2, where your character is just this silent protagonist that people just basically yell exposition at while he just kind of like nods at things. So it was really nice to have that, because it allowed me to get into my character a little bit more. Pro number 2, the AI teammates. Man, I know this just came out, but boy, did they get this right. I mean, I think there's a little room for improvement, but this makes the game feel like you're playing with 3 other people without actually finding 3 other people to play with. It is so nice to have a whole team instead of your own that are just following around helping you. I enjoyed this the most. That's the thing that made it feel so much different than all the other like games of service shooters, is the fact that you always have this group of 3 with you, and that you can really just play alone if you want. And I loved that. I loved that, because I love open worlds like this, but you rarely get to do everything without having friends. And I don't always have friends. Whereas with this, you've got this 3 teammate people that just follow you around. It's great. Can't tout it the most enough. The minute I got that available and unlocked it, I was very happy. It definitely spurred me on to play more. My next pro is the perks, and that is the fact that you have perks and a skill-based tree loadout. I really like that. I know there's Destiny, and I know that there is Division 2, and they're all about the gear score. I don't like my game to be all about looting. I like a little bit more meat on that, more than just the weaponry and the armor. With this, you have an experience-based, skill-based tree that you can build out. Now, is it the most in depth? No, not even close. Nonetheless, it gives you abilities and powers that you can choose from. You can usually have 3 perks active at any one time, and there are also a load of little passives that you can unlock through this skill tree that make your time a little bit easier and more fun. So I really enjoyed that in comparison to Division 2's just gear system. Uh, all in all, this game's pretty good. But my final pro, something that stood out to me, is the way that they do health and healing in this. I enjoyed quite a bit. There are 2 ways. There's your normal. It's in every first-person shooter, the weird syringe that you shoot in and somehow cures your wounds. You can get those. You can also craft them, believe it or not, by finding plants, which I found that an interesting change, in addition to this game as well. But you can also bandage yourself if you're out of those, which is really cool because he actually bandages up his certain wounds, and he actually will limp on a leg if he's hurt. Also, if you get wounded, you can take an injury, even if your health doesn't go down that much. An injury slows you and makes it harder for you to move or whatever until you heal, which is another cool change in addition to the game. All right, let's hit up the cons. Con number 1, I could care less about John Barenthal and the story. I don't know if that's their fault or just me not being in narratives as much, but it just didn't seem compelling to me. I don't care about him. I don't want to stalk him. I have so much more fun just riding around with my group of AI companions doing random side missions than I do actually progressing the story. So there's that. I don't know what they could have necessarily done to make it more compelling, but it just does not matter to me in any way, shape, or form. Number two con, and this is probably my biggest con. The cover-based shooting is wonky as hell in this game. Just super wonky. Basically, there's no button to go into cover. When you walk up to cover, he's supposed to automatically take cover. If you inch towards an edge or the cover you're under is low enough, when you press the aim button, he'll just peek out around whatever corner he can find. This sounds really cool because you have to worry about it less, but in actuality, it makes it really janky and hard to figure out distancing. When you walk up against the wall, it's so easy to accidentally walk away from the wall and not realize you've walked away from the wall, that when you press the peek button, nothing happens, or you just aim off into nothingness. The other thing is he doesn't always peek over the stuff that you want him to peek over. And inching towards the edge often makes you inch too far into gun range and getting shot. It's not a good system. The gameplay is still fun. It's just when you get into those real tight cover-based situations where you need to be behind cover and you need to manage it the correct way, it gets real wonky. It's really hard to figure out where you are, what your distancing is, whether you can peek, whether you can't. And you need to know those things in the heat of a tough gunfight. So that's my biggest con, is how wonky that system is. That really brings us to the end of the review. But before I go into whether or not I stick with it, this didn't really fit into a pro or a con. I did want to just once again praise the game's ability to really come at a situation any way you want to. And one of the things I want to share on that is a story in which I had a mission where I had to steal something from a truck. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to booby trap it. I'm just going to go after it. That was one of the most fun half-hour play sessions I've ever had, because I just stole this big Humvee and just drove into the convoy, and it literally turned into Mad Max with my AI people hanging out the window, shooting at them and ramming things, and ended up knocking the truck off the road down into a tree where I was able to pop out and shoot the driver. And the driving is really good in this game. God, I wish Borderlands 3 had taken some notes from this game, because this game actually feels like really responsive, cool driving when you're in it. But At the same time, there was another mission that was very similar to this, and that one I just mined the road where it was coming, figured out where it was going, mined the road, and then popped everybody real quick stealth-wise. So there's just so many ways to attack a situation, and while there are some wonky systems in the game, it's nice to actually be able to do that. As far as whether or not I'm going to stick with it, I'm going to have to say no right now because I can't afford it. I got a lot of stuff going on in my personal life. So I can't buy a new game right now, but if I could, I probably would. I would probably put a good more 10 hours into it. But I could only play it through the free weekend. Free weekend is over. Thus ends my playtime with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. So was this helpful to you guys? Did you guys find this review helpful? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Comment below. You can also reach us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. Of course, join our Discord. The link is in the description below. As long as you guys keep watching and listening to these, I'll keep making them. See you guys next week.